Welcome to E360 TV, the live streaming and on-demand destination for influential voices and enlightened audiences. We offer trending, grassroots, and purpose-driven content across a diverse range of interests. E360 TV is more than just watching programs. We offer the ability to interact with live shows connecting audiences to real, authentic influencers and storytellers while streaming to millions of devices. Real experiences. Raw conversations. One destination for it all. E360 TV.
On July 4th, 1962, I found myself in the lost and found of mankind. Just because something finds its way to the lost and found doesn't mean that it wants to be there. Just because something finds its way to the lost and found doesn't mean that the person who lost it doesn't care for that lost item.
You are writing moments that people will learn from, grow from, and heal through for thousands of years. Together, we are co-authoring a unique moment in time. That DNA, those fingerprints, they're going to be gone. Ashes to ashes, dust to dust. But it is your story that they will tell for thousands of years. But only if you leave it. Things that do not serve you must go. The longer you wait, the more time you give them to trick you into serving them. 22 homes in foster care, everything I wore as a scar, as a shame, things that started like Velcro on my spirit. After just a few months, then years, then decades, I had believed myself into believing that they were indelible tattoos. Sometimes we have to be broken down to appreciate the view once we start getting up. I want you to leave this place and know that you have been changed. Why? How do I know it's true? Because each of you has just changed. Good morning, good morning, good morning, good morning. Welcome to today's installment of Bathrobe Moments. I'm down in the basement with the voice still channeling Louise Jefferson, but it's better than it was yesterday. You know what? Sometimes getting old is not a joke. I'm telling you, I went to bed, what time was it? 7 o'clock last night, and still couldn't get up this morning to go to the health club. That's why I joined a second health club, one for nighttime if I miss the gym in the morning. So I'll be going to Signature today, this evening. Boy, I tell you what, all you got to do though is have a plan. Have a plan. Know yourself. Be honest with yourself. Because I know if I miss the morning, I'm not going to do anything else. So I had to join another gym. Anyway, I don't know why I got into that. Well, I'm going to tell you why. Do you know today's guests? I'm so excited they're here. They're wonderful people and clearly flexible because they were supposed to be here a week from today. Guess what I did? I posted it and everything. Pray for me. That's all I got to say. Welcome to today's installment once again. That's the Bella Purpose. Been here since way back when, and it is not just a gimmick, not a prop. No, absolutely not. It is an opportunity. Why? How? I'll tell you why. Because just like when I ring that bell, you hear a tone, right? It has a tone to it. So does the truth. The truth has a ring to it. Ever heard that? So when I ring the bell, it means that there is something out there. Somebody has just said something. We posted a comment. Our guests have said something. And once in a blue moon, a senior moment has some light on and flies through my front yard, and I even get one. But what it means is stop what you're doing and pick up what we're dropping. Will you do that for me? Can I get an amen? Can I? It's free. It doesn't hurt. Get one in there. Drop it in the comments, won't you please? So here we are. Hump day. We make is it? Yeah, today's Wednesday, right? Oh Lord. See what I mean? Don't and those of you laughing, laugh if you want to, because you're most likely experiencing junior moments. You just haven't named them yet. You'll see. Listen, big week for us here. Trajectory TV launched Monday. We are still looking for great content providers from around the globe. This is a network where we've got 24 hours streaming all the way around the clock. If you or someone you know is a consummate content creator, a prolific storyteller, I want to meet them. Have them email me, laurenmichaelsharris@gmail.com, with their show concepts. Wednesdays, the iHeartRadio podcast, where I co-host with Cowboy Jax Young out of Nashville. A new episode drops every Wednesday. One dropped yesterday. Get over to wherever you get your podcast content and take a listen. You can even just ask Alexa to play Licensed for Love. One more thing, the book out November 9th. I'm going to go silent on that after today because we don't want to mess up the launch with people going there early, but mark your calendar, save the date, November 9th, Align. And what else? Let me just show you these. Do you guys remember this? Back in 19? Oh my goodness. You know what? I get chills every time I look at these pictures and those gowns those girls were wearing. Lord Jesus. It looked like a fashion show. And look, I think Nancy, there were some hot, I'm gonna just cuss, some hot ass gowns there that night, but this absolutely was my favorite. I didn't know if I should call it a mermaid dress or what, but it was absolutely gorgeous. And y'all, look at what Adventure Therapy will do for your abs, right? They look like true movie stars. There's the trophy everyone was going for. Tamara Hunter took that away, but she'll be giving it up soon because I'm gonna be bringing it back. You guys don't worry. Mikey Adam Cohen is always on me about getting it back, and we're gonna. Big things happening around the world, especially in our country. We've got all this midterm election and stuff coming up. So do what you need to do, but make sure your voice is heard, won't you please? Don't just sit back and complain afterwards. Get in there, make a difference. Get out and vote this time. One more announcement. Got these package in the mail just Monday. The movie Heathen. I got a little part in there. They call it co-starring. I think I got, I don't know, probably 8 or 9 different scenes in there. But anyway, you will be able to catch that movie mid-December on Peacock. Please watch it and tell me what it looked like, because I'm going to be way too scared to watch it myself, and that's a fact. So anyway, let's get started. Who do we have here today? I told you, Scott and Nancy. What do they do?
What is adventure therapy? Well, first of all, they are life and relationship consultants who use their unique method of adventure therapy to propel people from standing on the edge of their life, peering down at what they wish for. Could have been, should have been. No, jump and grow your wings on the way down, right? They help people leap into the best version of themselves and show them how to live their life to the fullest. Now, after 2 years of marriage, Scott was involved in an accidental explosion at work. He worked in the movie industry, resulting in a brain injury, hearing loss, and vertigo. Have you ever had vertigo? I did once, and they had to rush me to the emergency room. I swear to God, I thought I was dying. For real. I was like, I'll see you soon, Whitney. I'll see you, Michael Prince. Save me a seat. I really did. And I felt so stupid. Like 10 minutes after I got there and they gave me an IV, I walked out. Because when I was walking in, I was like, anyway, the upper room. Anyway, Scott can tell us all about this. This incident drastically changed their lives and the dynamic of their relationship. We'll talk about that, causing them to create innovative tools and strategies to keep their relationship thriving and continue to create the life they dreamed. Now, there's a whole bunch more, but I'm going to let them tell you about it. You guys remember the last time they were here, way back in the olden days, they were living on a boat. Well, guess what? They finally moved into a regular house like normal people. Anyway, you guys, this is the first time they've been here on this platform. So, you know what we do? Let's give them a virtual standing ovation. We do that by throwing hearts on the screen. They're free, they don't hurt, and it's a great way to welcome people. So do that for me, please. Throw those hearts, won't you? Here they come, Scott and Nancy Kiesling. I heard a whole bunch of weird stuff going on when I was playing. Oh, I'm gonna pull it out like that. We gotta leave. So you guys aren't seeing double. That's really 2 Nancys and 2 Scotts. Good morning and welcome.
Hey, good morning. Thanks for having us. And who do you think you're calling normal people?
I know, right? Far from it. But still, you are 2 of the greatest people, seriously, that I've ever met. We've done a lot together, and you guys just seem okay. There's Will and Jada, there's Oprah and Stedman, and there's Scott and Nancy. Listen, what we do here is I want you guys to open the show by having a little personal time with the audience. So I dip out, give you a minute or 2 just to say what's on your mind, pour into them, and then I'll come back in. Is that okay?
Yeah.
All right. All you.
Well, everybody, good morning. Thanks for having us, Lauren. You know, it's absolutely always a pleasure to get on and speak with your audience and our audience and all the people that support us. And we love each and every one of you.
Absolutely. You know, and going with the theme of normal, I think today we're going to really talk about what that exactly means and tapping into the abnormal inside of you, right? And letting your true self shine, because that's what it's all about in this life. We've got one life and we want to live it to our fullest. And the way to do that is by really tapping into that authentic self inside of you, that abnormal person.
Right. And isn't it funny that through life and society and the cult that we live in, the culture that we live in, we're told what normal is. And
that we should always be that to fit in.
I say throw your meaning of normal out the window and create your normal. Because my normal is not your normal.
Right. You know what? I was sitting here watching and I was going like this. You guys have always, it just shows how you're like so in sync. Definitely soulmates, because where one stops, the other one begins, and how you're like news anchors who have been on the same channel for about 30 years. How long have you 2 been together?
We've been together since 2013, so we're just coming up on 10 years.
Wow.
Yeah, married for 6.
Married for Brian and I just had our 5th wedding anniversary. But doesn't it feel like you just started dating 5 minutes ago?
Sometimes.
Oh, here goes.
Truth, ring the truth bell, man.
There it is. Sometimes I get it. You're right.
Look, you know, it is bliss most of the time, but we are human and we are a human couple experiencing this human experience. So, of course, there are things that we get to experience and investigate in this relationship that's not always the rose bush or the, you know, the Garden of Eden. There's stuff going on always with people.
All the time. But you get through it. Clearly, you get through it. So, you know, tell us how you guys met.
I got this one.
Okay.
I'll let him start.
So Nancy, and some of you may have heard this before, but Nancy stalked me.
Yeah.
She's a stalker.
You know, that truth bell, don't ring that right now.
Okay. So there's a little extra to this story, I can tell. Go ahead, Nancy. What really happened?
The reality, right? You said that Scott worked in the film industry. He was on the movie called We're the Millers, and it was filming in the downtown of where I worked at the time. So I worked in a building right on the road, and I would, you know, see all the trucks, and they were filming and all the things going on. And it was Jennifer Aniston and Jason Sudeikis in the movie. So I was stalking, but more Jennifer Aniston at the time.
Okay.
Yeah. And then slowly met this guy in the crowd, of their crowd, as you'd stand out and watch them work and kept trying to catch us, you know, maybe I'll see Jen.
We're kind of like zoo animals.
Yeah.
Right.
We even joke, like, don't feed the crew.
Yeah. So yeah, we met a few times, just kind of, it seemingly that we bumped into each other, which later we found out he was getting little, because they wear like little earpieces to all talk to each other in the set. And the set would be like, hey, your stalker's in the crowd. And so he'd come out and say hi. So who stalked who?
Right. So let me ask you too, you know, it's hard enough in any day and age for couples because Brian and I, thank God I have Brian, because I know there's so many people that would have just severed their relationships with me, but then they go, wait a minute, if we say fuck off Lauren, that means we won't have access to Brian. Okay, Lauren, no problem, right? So, but what I'm getting at is there's all these pressures and stuff, but when you're somewhat in the public eye as a duo, there's extra pressure, yes, because people expect you to show up, you know, all I love you more. And sometimes you may have walked out of a disagreement and you're like, you know, we'll deal with this later. But then you walk through the door and you got to go. Talk about how that works. How do you keep it transparent, but still private?
Yeah.
We are completely authentic. So when we're here, when we're speaking, when we're sharing the things that are going on, there is no mask, right? We don't cover up what is happening. So we are the most authentic versions of ourselves all the time. And for me, that keeps the truth of this relationship building. And there's no like, okay, well, you know, we'll talk about this later. We're just authentic.
Yeah, and I think the most amazing part is, you know, we work with clients and we work like this. We coach together.
Yeah.
A lot, and it's on Zoom mostly because it's with people all over the world. So a lot of times those people think, well, I only see you an hour a week, so there's got to be turmoil at other times. But then when those same clients come on retreats with us and they get to spend 7 full days and they see that what they see weekly for an hour is the majority of our time, and it's really how we interact on a daily basis about things. And they get to see that it's not just fake for an hour, that we're pretending we're okay so we can help you. It's authentic, you know, so that helps to really anchor it into another level that we can have that kind of relationship.
Yeah, you know what? I just thought about that. I was like, yeah, you know what? That's a big piece. That's a big piece. I never even considered that. The tie-in that you just mentioned. But what about this? Let's get into what you do for people. When people see the two of you, do they automatically assume they need to be a couple to come on your adventure therapy retreats?
I think there's probably 50-50 that have that question. And we always reassure them that it doesn't have to be a couple. You know, we work with singles that haven't yet found that perfect mate for themselves. So those adventure retreats, again, help to open that authentic self to attract in the love of their life.
Yeah.
Because look, here's the honest thing. If we're not authentic and we're wondering why we don't have great relationships, it's because we're not authentic. You want somebody to love you fully, you have to be fully you.
Right. Let me ring the bell. Absolutely right. Now, when people see coaching, most people say, okay, I'm a mindset coach, or I'm a work-life balance coach, so on and so forth. But adventure therapy coaching doesn't really, put a face on who this person or these people are. Talk a little bit, if you could, about the variety of people who come to you, and what do they come to you looking for?
Yeah.
Who's your ideal client, or is there one?
Well, it started mainly with single women who had success in all areas except their love life. But it's really evolved into helping anybody develop an adventurous mindset. So an adventurous mindset is what allows us to have the relationship that we dream of. It allows us to open the business that we've been dying to do. It allows us to get a promotion at work, right? It allows us to do all these different things.
It allows us to be authentic.
It allows us to be authentic because it's adventurous. It's an adventurous moment to step through that fear and say something that truly is coming up for you, instead of putting up a wall like we normally do and not being authentic in that moment. So we really teach people that adventurous mindset, which now today really kind of blankets a lot of different people.
I get it. I totally, what I love about this is I'm a firm believer that what we name things is ultra important, because we have to name things, because things that run around our world, inside of our world, that we leave unnamed are things usually that do not serve us, which is why people get stuck, because you can't catch something you can't identify. And those things, they operate on what I refer to as a butterfly flight pattern. Like if you're trying to, how can you catch something that you don't know what it is, or where it lives, or where it's going to be next? You can't predict it. But when we name things, so what I'm getting at here, adventure, when I hear it, it makes me think, it makes my heart pound, but in a great way, which replaces my heart pounding from fear.
Yes.
Big difference. So is fear a huge part of what people come to get over, or to replace with something better that serves them better through this therapy?
Absolutely.
100%.
Yeah.
Right?
Talk about that.
We like to identify fear as false evidence appearing real. And what I mean by that is it's a story that we've made up about something that's coming up, right? So we have an idea of what an experience is going to be like. And then we allow our thought habit to create a story that does not fit what we truly want. So we're resisting what that reality will be, or we're basically making up what that reality is going to be within the subconscious. And instead of looking at the best case scenario, as humans, we're taught to look at the worst case scenario. So we get into the story of what if, and when this, and it should have been, and it could have, and that fear, if we really investigate it, you will find that it's false evidence appearing real. The story that you've made up never, ever fits the true reality of what happens. It's never as bad, and it's never as good.
You're right. I say the same thing. It's never about just one thing, which is a great golden parachute, if you will, for any given situation. Now, I know, because I've been coaching for quite a while. We used to coach together. First Scott, and then the both of you. And that was back in the early days, right?
Yeah.
And I know the pushback that we coaches, those of you out there too, drop it in the comments if you understand what I'm saying once I say it. We each know in our own genres the pushback that we usually get from people. Tell me if this is right or wrong with you two. I can imagine that you get a lot of this from people. They say, I'm ready, probably even put their deposits and things down. And then they wake up in the middle of the night in a cold sweat. Wait a minute, I don't like bugs. I have, I don't want to, I'm scared of sounds in the night. I'm not in good shape. I can't do all that climbing and shit. Talk about how you get people before they even get there. They may have made a verbal commitment, but they haven't made a soulful commitment. Talk about that transference, because I believe that's a huge part. Little things find their way into greater things. Talk about that if you would.
Yeah. So, and it's a great point, and it happens all the time, right? Which is why we say adventure isn't just hanging from the side of a mountain on a rope, right? It's taking those baby steps to do something different than you've ever done, which for a lot of people may be investing in themselves or getting on a plane or going on a trip with a group of people they've never met. All these things start to stir after the decision's been made of, yes, I totally need this, right? So we have to start working at that finite moment of, this is where the adventurous mindset begins. Because like you said, it starts in small ways. If we start to build it in small increments, it will lead to larger outcomes, right? We call it 1 degree shifts. If you make 1 degree shifts, it's going to lead you in a large direction eventually, but we can't just turn the boat around, right? We've all seen the movie of Titanic and how hard it is to reverse that boat. We've got to slowly take those 1 degree shifts, and it begins with stepping through the fears of those tiny moments, because it's just a story you're telling yourself of, it's going to be this with that group of people, or they're going to judge me, or, oh my God, I'm going to see bugs, right? Bugs held me away from Costa Rica for like 7 years. And when I went and I finally did it, I didn't see one that freaked me out in the way that I imagined. So again, where are we being held back because of the story in our mind?
Exactly. Exactly. I always liken that too, because I lived through that lens for decades, seriously. And I always tell people it's like as if I was like in a room, say a bathroom, and you took a hot shower and the window was foggy, right? Just like the mirror gets foggy. And you look through the window through that fog and you think there's a monster out there going like this. Well, I finally found the courage to wipe the window, and it was a bird sitting on a limb. It was not the monster that I'd run out of there so many times. I can't even begin to tell you. I want to show this clip real quick of a little view into what adventure therapy is. Okay, that looked fun. So now I know what y'all are thinking. Don't worry, I'm about to ask it. So, okay, that's the fun stuff. Now, I do know, because of previous conversations with you two, that it's not like you're sleeping like on Survivor underneath. You wove the palm fronds together and you're under there. They actually go back to nice lodgings, right?
Yeah. So
Absolutely.
what we like to tell people is that even though we get our boots dirty every day, we do come back to a 5-star villa. And the villa has private chefs, masseuses, like all of the things that we want in a 5-star luxury resort in our own villa.
Well, and the reason for that is because, again, most people don't give themselves this kind of treatment, right? We hold back. Oh, it's selfish. Oh, it's this. So again, stepping into that and leaning in to see what that's like and realize what it does for you and your soul.
There it goes. Now, see, now you might be able to even convince Brian to go, because he's a hotel snob. You know what I'm saying? Really, I'm not kidding. I'm not even going to go there because he might. Oh, he's with a patient. No, but I love that. Now, is there an age, minimum or maximum, as far as who can come on these retreats?
No, I mean, we say as long as you can climb a flight of stairs, you can come on our retreat, right? And of course, we have different forms as far as making sure your health is where it needs to be. But we've had people from 23 all the way up to 70, and then
Wow.
you've had people on some of his trips that he's done that were in wheelchairs and, disabled, and he
And
took
I've
them
worked
rock
with,
climbing.
I've worked with lots of young kids. We have a rock climbing gym as well. Excuse me.
Wow.
And we work with the gang task force. So we take gang members, siblings, and ex-gang members that are generally under 14 years old, and we take them out rock climbing. And one of the most interesting parts of that, for me and for them, is we actually allow them to belay or hold up the sheriffs on the climbing wall. And the bond that they create and the trust that they gain and the communication through that moment,
Shift that dynamic.
it shifts these kids for life. So there's no age. There's no young age. As far as the older, how old are you?
60 now.
No way.
Yeah. 4th of July, I was 60. I'm 60.
Wow.
Wow.
I would not have guessed that.
Yeah, well.
Yeah, like we said.
Let me stand up and walk around. The percussion section of my bones will tell you that I am quite 60. Trust me. So yeah, but it is a mindset.
Mm-hmm.
Because I always tell people, I ask Brian all the time, he's a therapist. So I say, it's so amazing to me that I still sound like me of when I was a kid to me.
Yeah.
We still feel like that inside. We didn't get old in there. So there's a lot to that. We're going to take a brief break, everyone. And when we return, we're going to go even deeper into what this really means. Because I'm telling you, on the surface, it just looks like another vacation, but it's not. Sometimes when we step right up to the plate, we're shocked that not only do we hit a home run, we hit a grand slam. We're going to talk about that more when we come back. Real quick, remember, if you or someone you know is a great content creator or a storyteller and you want to get your message to the masses, let me know. Trajectory TV is alive and well. We'll be right back. Don't go away. This is a great time to share out the broadcast. Welcome back to today's installment of Bathrobe Moments. I'm your host, Lauren Michaels Harrison. Before we get the dynamic duo back, that's Scott and Nancy Kiesling, I wanted to tell you about something I love. And I really do. It's not just because they're a sponsor. I really do. I did before I even got them aboard. V8. I used to drink a lot of Diet Coke, way too much to talk about. But now I've ditched that and I picked this up. 60 calories in every can, 2.5, count them, 2.5 servings of vegetables in every one of these babies. Easy to find. Head down the juice aisle in your local grocer. And when you get to the checkout counter, all you got to do is tell them, Bathrobe Moments sent me. Delicious. And as Lucy would say, tastes just like candy. Well, almost. Anyway, what do I want to say? Oh, I don't want to say anything. I want to show you something. These two also hang out with luminaries. Huh? What's up with this?
Like, you're somebody, I don't have to know anything more about you. I'd recommend somebody to you for coaching because not only I know you've been trained by my work, that helps, but honestly, it's because you've lived it.
Relationship and life strategists Scott and Nancy Kiesling.
They're both life coaches and adventure coaches.
Be really proud of yourself. This is that new identity that you get to hold on to, that when life is coming at you, you know that you can have that empowered feeling like you know more.
I conquered adventure therapy with Scott and Nancy. That truly taught me about self-love.
This has been a trip of a lifetime.
Wow. I'm jealous. Talking about the relationships that you two garner, from the discovery call, when people first come in, I imagine you see totally different people on the other side of that. Give us some examples of some of your most memorable transformations through this program.
Yeah. When you speak of relationships, it's funny. Of course, I think of the relationship with themselves, but the relationships that these people get to build with one another, they all call it their new family. And it's usually the most shocking piece to them, because when they go home and people ask them, what was the most memorable piece or what was the biggest thing you got out of it, they're shocked to say a new family, because they thought it was going to be, I did the waterfall rappel, or I did this, but the fact that they made a bond from an authentic place, created a relationship with someone like they've never had before, shows them such a great example of what can be if they do that as they go into life, right? Not just on this trip. And that's really what we're fostering in people. So those are the biggest transformations. When you get someone who has all these walls, is afraid to be themselves, and doesn't speak up in relationships, and then all of a sudden learns through our coaching that, this is how you actually get that authentic relationship and that person who truly loves you. And then they get to practice it with people in real life time and see the result as this positive outcome that actually brings them closer to someone when they speak up and show that authenticity, instead of people leaving like the fear says. That's the biggest transformation, that all of a sudden they have these people that are like family to them.
Yeah.
And the doing something different gives them something different. And I think the biggest part, even from the discovery call on, is really changing the belief around that when we are aware and we use the power of choice to be authentic, to drop our masks, to drop our walls, to lose our fear, we get to have this incredibly different outcome in our relationships that we've never got to experience. And that's really what Nancy's talking about with that bonding with these groups.
Yeah.
But I would say, as far as a person that had the biggest transformation, the one that still comes to mind, and she was on one of our first trips, but she was probably in her mid to late 30s, and she wanted to come on our trip. She made the decision, but she lived so much under the idea of what her parents thought she should or shouldn't do as far as life, career, love, that they came in and was like, you're not going to Costa Rica. Are you crazy? Like, in another country with strangers? And she was going to back out. So we actually had to coach not only her, but her parents in allowing her to nurture this adventurous mindset. And once she got on the trip and she stepped through all these different things, she became the biggest cheerleader for everybody. Like, she had a 360 or 180 switch of becoming that person to cheer people on and step through instead of being the person on the sidelines of her life. It was amazing to watch. But that's what
I imagine. One of the things I love about what you two do is that it's almost a way to trick people into something that they need, but they don't necessarily understand why. And in my own journey, some of my greatest moments, fondest memories, if you will, are those times where I thought one thing and did it anyway, and then found out later how wrong I was and wondered what took me so long, and you automatically go back and think, what could I have been or where could I have gone if I had made this choice sooner? But you're so happy with the result, it seems to close in the gap and you don't worry about what was. You're so happy about what is. So one thing about you two I want to say is this: you guys always look for the proof in the pudding. Look for people who don't just talk it, but walk it. And what I'm getting at is you two, when you were in the next impactor, that was an adventure for you. And what I'm getting at too is I remember, Scott, a lot of the night you had on the dark sunglasses because all of the lights blinking and stuff were messing with you. And you don't have you do. You have them on in that picture right there. If you guys look over to the right by that screen back there, you'll see Scott and Nancy on the end, and Scott has on the dark glasses. Talk about how the things you teach people came flooding back in, came home to roost, if you will, to get you through. Because I was there, and I remember when it started happening, it caught you off guard, and Nancy kind of stepped in, like the as if you were one of the people on the trip and had to get you to where you made it through no matter what. Talk about that, if you could.
Yeah. So first off, I couldn't ask for a better partner.
I agree.
I mean, so I had an accident. Excuse me. I had an accident at work. I was in an early detonation of an explosion. I was about 8 inches from it. And so I had a traumatic brain injury, and I have hearing loss and all of that, and what's called 3PD, which is another balance issue, and then vertigo. And of course, your balance starts in your ear. So destroying this with the explosion again threw my balance off and led to the vertigo. And the brain injury is triggered through my eyes as well. So any kind of strobe, any kind of like light differences can trigger, right? Even for all of you that drive cars, you've seen the shadow across your windshield on a sunny day when you're driving down a road of trees.
Yeah,
right?
just minding your own business.
That completely puts me out, right? So utilizing all the strategies and the tools that Nancy and I teach and that I've learned, or we've learned through Tony Robbins over the last 25 years, all came to a point of I had a choice moment.
I remember.
I could choose to stay on the couch. I could choose to feel sorry for myself. I could choose to make other people feel sorry for me. I could choose to lay down and accept that this is the reality. I could choose to follow what the doctors told me would be. But instead, I chose to stand up, to rise up, to level up.
Yeah. And it wasn't easy. Because let me just tell everybody, let me just preface this for you, frame it for you, if you will. When the impactors all converged on Chicago that August, the top 25 competitors came. And so during the night, it got whittled down to the top 5, which you all were in. And at what point, Scott, did you know, or did you realize, and Nancy, you can chime in too, that, all these lights, because we had pyrotechnics at the end and everything, and lights were everywhere. When did you even consider that this might happen?
Yeah. And the rehearsal night was really the point where it was like, this is going to be a problem. And so again, choice moment, right? This human experience is made up of nothing but choice moments.
Correct.
And we are not on autopilot. Our lives are not just this thing that happens to us. We get to choose where that goes. So again, I had a choice moment. I could have walked out of rehearsal and not come back.
Right? And I think that crossed your mind.
Yeah,
absolutely.
Because all of that pain and stuff just dropped on top of you. So what I saw was like, I saw Scott, the Scott that's here right now, 1 minute ran off doing the things I do as the event planner, and then came back and you were underneath all of this rubble. That's how it felt to me. Now, Nancy, for you, how did you separate yourself from being his spouse, his soulmate, to being his coach in a way to get him to where he needed to be to make it all the way through this event that night and the next night? How did you do that?
It's really keeping your eye on what you want, so our goal in all of this from the moment it happened, the accident and everything turned upside down where life was no longer what it was getting life back to, or in a new fashion, closest to what we wanted and was normal. So that was just another pawn in the game of, well, what would normal be? It would be to be here at the event, going through with it. Yes, you'll have to do it wobbly. Yes, you might trip. You might, people are going to know, right? But again, we go back to that authenticity. We're not going to get up there and pretend that everything is roses and rainbows.
Yeah.
So you have to step through that. And that vulnerability to not be the strong man that he's been so used to being his whole life, in that moment is really challenging. And those voices in your head will come in and go, it doesn't help. It doesn't serve people to be weak, but it does. It serves people so much more than you could ever imagine. And that's where we come from.
I remember that night, Brian and I were talking, and Jason and Emily, we were all together, and we were really concerned because Scott, you had left and went back to the hotel. Remember? I think you had to go and like lay in darkness or something. And we were afraid, oh, wow, does that mean Nancy's going to have to walk the stage? Because everything was built around you as a couple. All the stuff on the screen, the announcements about you, all of it, the sizzles. And then too, we were like, oh no, what's that going to feel like that he doesn't, but there you were the next day. So the reason I've spent so much time on this point right here is because I want you guys to understand, all of us should remember that, I consider it the litmus test of purpose is, and Maya Angelou said this, that you really know that you have found your way into your divine purpose when you are forced to live your own teachings. And that's what happened that weekend here in Chicago. And so I know we have to be authorities in order to show other people. So I wanted to get that example out there because I experienced it firsthand. So let's talk about the trip coming up in 2023 to Costa Rica. How's it going? Explain to people what you got planned. How do they come aboard? And how do they maybe even just start the dialogue with you all on how to get to be a part of this?
Yeah. So what we have planned is, of course, adventure. But along with that, we have the villa and the massages, and then we have life workshops. We have workshops where we talk about limiting beliefs and stepping through not only your own, but like in my case, the doctors, right? Because they had their own set of limiting beliefs where I was going to go. So it's not only our own story we have to overcome and step through, it's other people's limiting beliefs. So our workshops that are created for this not only step people through those limiting beliefs, they give us the power of choice in the present moment. And all of that, the workshops, we go through identity, right? Because we all have an idea of who we are, right? I'm a dad, I'm a coach, I'm a worker, I'm a this, I'm a wife, I'm a stay-at-home, I'm a whatever that I am, whatever follows that, we become. So what attributes do we want to talk about? I don't want to talk about I'm frustrated. I don't want to talk about I'm angry, because anything that follows I am, right? So those workshops are really designed to get to that soul level. And then we take them on that adventure and we tie that soul level connection in with the physiology so that when we go home and life is coming at us, we can stand in our own self.
Yeah.
And that doesn't mean stand strong, fellas.
Just stand.
That means just stand
Mm-hmm.
and take the steps that are needed to get to where we want to go, instead of standing in one spot and allowing that river to rise over our head.
Well,
How many days is one of these? I'm sorry, Nancy.
No, go ahead.
How many days?
Which led to the point I was just going to say. It's 7 days or 8. Sometimes we do 8. But that's the key of it. It's full immersion. So when we take ourselves and we put ourselves in an environment for that many days, the consistency of stepping you out of your comfort zone over and over and over and over again is what allows you to go home and have it continue into the rest of your life in a much more natural manner. It won't be such a challenge to step through those scary times when you go home.
You know what just popped in my head? I think it's a download. But I immediately thought of how valuable this would be to people with, say, for instance, you just got divorce papers. You just got a cancer diagnosis. You just found out, you know, your 15-year-old is pregnant. Whatever. Anything that could knock you on your ass.
Mm-hmm.
This sounds like the perfect way to find all those things you may have misfiled, misdiagnosed about yourself, those limiting beliefs, Scott, that you talked about, to get you through it. Because take us through day one. Let's say we just got there. We got there today. Do we start today, or do we get a day to just like chill and get to know each other and then wake up? What?
No, it starts right the minute you get off that plane, right?
Okay, walk us through it. What's the first?
And to be honest, it starts before you get on the plane. But we'll talk about when you arrive in Costa Rica,
okay,
or Bali, or Indonesia, or Thailand, wherever we go.
Right.
The first thing you get to do is bond with that group of strangers. So we're all on a bus together, right? And we all go from the airport to the villa together. And that beginning of those conversations is where it starts.
So everybody arrives at the same time. Do they come together like meet?
No.
So you just arrange it so we all end up there within this time frame.
Yeah.
So that we can go. So that's a purposeful part, riding to the villa together.
Oh yeah.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Why is that so important?
So many people think they're going to be alone, right? They're so scared to travel alone and come on this thing, but you're literally only alone on your plane ride. After that, you are with everybody and bonding, and it starts immediately.
And
that connection.
The important purpose of that is to step through that fear, right? So they've already been coached about awareness and about the present moment and about stepping through limiting beliefs and these concepts, if you will. So when they're on the bus, we start to invoke the concepts, right?
Right then and there.
Right then and there. It starts with questions and speaking and conversation.
So does the group meet each other, say like on a Zoom call or something prior to coming, so that they can say, oh, hi, Jennifer. Oh, hi, Bob. And you've kind of already met people. So you're not.
We've done it both ways. We've done it where we've done the Zoom and they get to meet. But we've also done it where everybody just has a T-shirt that they wear on that day. It's a red T-shirt. It has a big Scott and Nancy on it. And they get to meet each other in or around the airport. They're both powerful.
Right. Yes, I see it. Because you identify a fellow traveler. You identify someone who's there for the same reasons you are, and then reasons that you could never imagine.
And all of a sudden, there's that connection. The minute they see him, there's a connection.
Yeah.
Oh, thank God. I'm so glad. I thought I was here by myself. I can see it already. Listen, on the screen, we have two connecting points for you. The bottom one scrolling is Scott and Nancy's Facebook page, and then there is their website. What is step one for those who are out there that may want to know more? Maybe not this trip coming up, but the next one, or maybe they want to get started today to procure their spot in this upcoming trip. What's the best way to get there?
Yeah, the best thing is just contact us probably through Facebook, either Messenger or post on one of our pages, and then just jump on a phone call, a Zoom call. There's no stress in the call. We get to have a conversation. We get to talk about what you are looking for. And again, taking that step can be fearful. So imagine that adventure mindset when you start to have the limiting belief of, oh, I couldn't do it, or I can't.
Right.
Whatever those things are that come up because your heart says, I want to do this. And then your story says, but I can't because of this, and I can't because of this,
right.
and what if, and what if, and what if. When you hear yourself saying that, everybody, jump on a call with us. Let's have a conversation.
I know that's right. Listen, man, this hour flew by. We're out of time, but I want to say this before we get out of here, you guys. Listen, don't exclude yourself from the possibility of legacy. It is way up there that we stand on that precipice that Scott and Nancy have mentioned numerous times in the past hour. And when you look down on it, it can be daunting many times. But listen, I've always believed, because I had the download a long, long time ago when I was told, Lauren, listen, if you want to find your way into legacy, if you want to grow your way into legacy, you only need to do two things. Wake up every day and look for something to bring to this world that this world has never seen. And guess what that means? It means we each must get up every day invested in being someone we've never been. Jump and grow your wings on the way down. Scott and Nancy can help you with that. Thank you both so much for coming today, especially when you were supposed to be here a week from today. I love you. I love you. I honor you, and I support you in all things. And anything you want to say, final thought to the people out there?
Just thanks for having us, and short
I don't know what word you're looking for.
Doing it this week instead of next week.
Oh, short notice, yeah.
Is never a problem with us. We'll show up anywhere you want, and always have a conversation.
It's all about embracing the adventure. There it is. Listen, you guys, get out there today and be the change you'd like to see in the world. And I promise you, God willing, I'll meet you out front tomorrow morning on the porch at 8 a.m. Central, like we do every Monday through Friday, where together we create a unique moment in time through illuminated conversation right here on Bathrobe Moments. Get out there and have the best day ever. Thank you, too. Love you. And I love you. And there's nothing you can do about it. Bye-bye, everyone.
Show me your soul. Baby, I'll show you mine. Show me your soul. Honey, it's way past time. How expensive do I have to be? Need I spell it out before you get it, baby? Show me your soul. And honey, I'll show you mine. I'll show you mine. Oh, I'm standing right here holding up a sign, shamelessly displaying my state of mind.